In 1996, an experienced climber sat down to rest on the slopes of Everest. He never stood back up. His body is still there. For over 20 years, every single person climbing toward the summit passed within arm's reach of him. Climbers used him as a navigation marker. Turn right at the green boots. A man with a family, with dreams, with a life, reduced to a trail sign. That's not a tragedy. That's a rule. The Himalayas aren't mountains, they're a machine, and they've been grinding people down for centuries. Today, we're counting down 10 locations where that machine is most brutal, and the ritual at number 10 will permanently change the way you see death. Take a breath. Let's go. Number 1. Lukla Airport, Nepal. Every journey to Everest begins not with the first step on the mountain, but with a flight that locals quietly call a one-way ticket. Welcome to Tenzing-Hillary Airport in Lukla, Nepal. Year after year, it holds the top spot on every ranking of the world's most dangerous airports, and it earned that title. Picture this: you're crammed into a tiny propeller plane. Through the window, jagged rock faces scroll past, uncomfortably close to the wing. Your palms are sweating. Your heart is somewhere in your throat. The pilot begins his descent, and then you see it, the runway. Standard international runways stretch 3,000 to 4,000 meters of flat concrete. Here, the pilot has 527 meters, shorter than 5 football fields, and those 527 meters aren't flat. They're tilted at a 12% incline, built deliberately so landing planes brake faster going uphill and departing planes accelerate faster going downhill. There is no instrument landing system, no autopilot, just the pilot's hands, eyes, and nerve. Miss the calculation by a second, a sudden gust, which the mountains produce without warning, and there is no going around. One end of the runway is a solid rock wall, the other is a 700-meter drop into fog. Every single landing here is a one-shot commitment. Weather in Lukla is its own kind of cruelty. Clear skies can become zero visibility in 10 minutes. Thousands of tourists get stranded here for days, sometimes weeks, waiting for a gap in the clouds. You haven't put on a backpack yet. Your life has already been on the line. Number 2. Karakoram Highway, Pakistan. Surviving Lukla doesn't mean you're safe. It means you've arrived at the beginning. The Karakoram Highway is called the 8th wonder of the world, but locals have another name for it, the road built on bones. At 4,693 meters above sea level, it's the highest paved international road on the planet, and every kilometer cost a human life, literally. Construction ran from 1959 to 1979. Workers blasted through mountains using dynamite and hand tools. The official death toll, over 810. Pakistani workers and approximately 200 Chinese. 1 life per kilometer of pavement. When you drive this highway, you're driving through a memorial that nobody bothered to mark. But history is the least of your worries. The Karakoram runs along active tectonic fault lines. These mountains are alive, constantly shifting and shedding. Rockfalls don't happen once a year here. They happen daily. Boulders the size of cars drop without warning. In 2010, a massive landslide buried a village in the Hunza Valley, blocked the river, and created a lake that swallowed 19 kilometers of road. For months, the only way through was by wooden rowboat with vehicles loaded on board. The rusted wreckage of trucks still visible on the canyon floor. Those aren't accidents. They're warnings nobody removed. Number 3. Tija's Nest Monastery, Bhutan. Leave the roads behind. Go higher into the kingdom of Bhutan, where physics appears to take a day off. Tiger's Nest Monastery looks like a film set, a massive temple complex clinging to a sheer granite cliff 900 meters above the valley floor. It appears to float, Legend says the great guru Padmasambhava flew here in the 8th century on the back of a tigress and meditated in a cliff-face cave for 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, and 3 hours. Getting there is less poetic. No cable car, no elevator. Just a narrow path cut into rock and 2 to 3 hours of lung-burning climbing. When you're almost there, when you can practically touch it, the trail drops into a deep gorge. A waterfall crashes at the bottom. To enter the monastery, you descend hundreds of stone steps into cold shadow, cross a narrow bridge over roaring water, then climb back up, all without railings on the open side. One misstep, wet stone, a moment of vertigo, and you're looking at a kilometer of air. In 1998, fire nearly destroyed the main temple. Monks and villagers rebuilt it by hand, carrying every beam, every brick up that same deadly path. Number 4. Hussaini Bridge, Pakistan. If Tiger's Nest scared you with height, this next place will make you afraid of every single step you take. The Hussaini Suspension Bridge in Pakistan's Hunza Valley is, by most accounts, the most terrifying footbridge on Earth. Your first thought when you see it, you cannot be serious. It's a sagging structure of rusted cables stretched over a wide, violent glacial river. But it's the deck that breaks you, not a solid walkway, individual rotting wooden planks, spaced 30 to 40 centimeters apart. Some are cracked, some are simply gone. You look down through the gaps at grey water rushing far below. The moment you step on, the whole structure comes alive. It sways with every movement. In Himalayan wind, it becomes a giant pendulum. No engineer designed this, no safety code governs it, and hanging right beside the bridge you're crossing are the snapped cables of the previous one, blowing in the wind, telling you exactly what happens next. For tourists, this is a dare. For locals, it's the road home. You might pass a woman carrying firewood on her head, walking without touching the rails, children running to school, skipping the gaps like it's a game. There is no rescue if you fall. The river doesn't give things back. Number 5. Roopkund Lake, the Skeleton Lake, India. High in the Indian Himalayas, at 5,029 meters, there is a small glacial lake. Most of the year it's frozen solid. Once a year when the snow melts, it reveals what's on the bottom. Hundreds of human skeletons, skulls, ribs, femurs, mixed in with the rocks. Over 500 bodies by official count, some preserved well enough that flesh and hair remain. For decades, this was one of the great unsolved mysteries of the mountains. Scientists finally cracked it. Every single skeleton had identical injuries, deep fractures on the top of the skull, broken shoulders, blunt force trauma from above. From something round, the size of a cricket ball. Around 850 AD, a large group of pilgrims was caught in the open in this valley when the sky turned dark. What followed wasn't rain, it was hail, massive, high-velocity ice stones falling like cannonballs. In an exposed mountain basin, there was nowhere to run. 500 people died in minutes. Their bodies were sealed by ice and preserved for over 1,000 years. A local folk song had described this event for centuries, a furious goddess sending iron rain from the sky. Scientists dismissed it as myth until they looked at the skulls. Number 6. Annapurna I, Nepal. Everest is a brand. For enough money, guides can get almost anyone to the top. Annapurna I is different. The 10th highest mountain in the world at 8,091 meters, Annapurna carries the most brutal fatality rate of any 8,000er ever climbed. Until recently, 1 in 3 people who attempted it did not come back. Everest sits at around 4%. Annapurna was 32%. The difference isn't altitude, it's the mountain's nature. Annapurna's southern face is one of the most avalanche-prone environments on the planet. Avalanches here don't follow snowstorms, they come whenever they feel like it. No schedule, no warning, millions of tons of ice and rock. On Everest, you can die from your own mistakes. On Annapurna, you can be the best climber alive, do everything right, and the mountain will still decide to erase you. You're sitting in your tent, drinking tea, then white silence, then nothing. In October 2014, Cyclone Hudhud trapped dozens of trekkers on the Thorong Pass. Cascading avalanches killed 43 people. Rescuers found bodies frozen upright, arms raised against the wind. Anatoly Bukreev, the legendary Soviet climber who survived the 1996 Everest disaster and pulled others back from certain death, was killed here in 1997. An avalanche. His body was never found. Annapurna kept him. Number 7. Khumbu Icefall, Nepal. To reach the summit of Everest, you must pass through the Khumbu Icefall. There is no way around it. It's a frozen river in permanent slow collapse, a labyrinth of ice towers and crevasses, some dropping 50 meters straight down. The icefall moves roughly 1 meter every single day, which means the landscape changes constantly. A stable path at dawn can be an open void by noon. To cross the crevasses, Sherpa guides construct bridges from aluminum ladders, 3, 4, sometimes 5 sections lashed together and laid over the gap. You cross them in a full-down suit, heavy crampons, a loaded pack, at altitude where breathing is already a struggle. The ladder flexes under your weight. One crampon catches a rung, you lose your balance, and the rope you're clipped to is the only thing between you and 50 meters of dark ice. Climbers call it the popcorn field because the ice constantly cracks and pops, a continuous soundtrack of the mountain deciding whether or not to collapse. In April 2014, a serac broke free above the main route and buried 16 Nepali guides who were carrying loads for expeditions. There was no surviving it. Teams pass through in the dead of night, while cold keeps the ice locked. Once the sun rises, being in the icefall is considered indefensible. You can't manage the risk here. You just move fast and hope. Number 8. Rainbow Valley, Everest. At 8,000 meters, just below the Everest summit, lies a place with a beautiful name, Rainbow Valley. The colors come from the hundreds of bright down jackets scattered across the snow, red, blue, orange, yellow. The people inside them never left. Rainbow Valley is the highest open-air cemetery on Earth. Bodies of climbers who died on their descent or never made the descent lie along the main trail to the summit. They cannot be evacuated. Helicopters don't operate at this altitude. Moving one body requires 10 Sherpas, enormous cost and risk to the living. So the dead stay. Some have been here for decades. Cold and dry wind mummify them. They look like they simply sat down to rest. The most well-known of them became, for 20 years, a navigation landmark. Turn right at the Green Boots. Sewang Paljor, an Indian climber lost in 1996, still in his bright plastic boots, curled in a limestone alcove, a man with a family and a future, used as a trail marker. In the death zone, the moral rules of the world below stop working. You cannot share your oxygen. You cannot carry anyone. You can barely carry yourself. You walk past them. You try not to look at their faces, but you remember them anyway. Number 9. Everest, the garbage. We picture the Himalayas as pristine, white snow, blue sky, clean, thin air, the reality that tourist brochures never show you. Everest is the world's highest garbage dump. Decades of commercial climbing have left tens of thousands of kilograms of waste on the mountain. Camp 4, at nearly 8,000 meters, is an ecological disaster zone. Crushed oxygen canisters, shredded tents, synthetic rope, food packaging, plastic bottles, all of it frozen into the ice. Permanent. And then there is the problem nobody likes to discuss. At extreme altitude, biological decomposition doesn't work. Bacteria can't survive the cold. Every season, climbers leave approximately 12 tons of human waste on the mountain. As glaciers melt faster each year, This material, built up over decades, begins to thaw. Bacteria reactivate. Contaminated meltwater flows into streams and rivers that feed the valleys below. Studies have found dangerous levels of E. coli in water downstream from the Khumbu region. The mountain that Sherpa people call Chomolungma, Mother Goddess of the world, is poisoning the communities living at her feet. Nepal now requires each climber to carry down at least 8 kilograms of waste left by previous expeditions. Volunteer cleaning teams risk their lives at altitude not for summits, but for garbage bags. It helps. But what's already frozen into the ice runs deeper than any cleanup effort can reach. Number 10. Sky Burials, Tibet. And now we arrive at number 10. The tradition that stopped us cold, the one that will stay with you. We are in Tibet, above 4,000 meters. The ground is rock and permafrost, too hard to dig. The tree line is far below, there's no wood to burn. When someone dies here, what do you do with the body? The answer has been the same for centuries. You give it to the sky. At dawn, the family carries the wrapped body to a flat stone platform high in the mountains, waiting on the surrounding rocks hundreds of Himalayan vultures, wingspan up to 3 meters. These birds know this ritual. They have known it for generations. The Rojiapa, the body breaker, makes incisions in the flesh to ease the work of the birds. Then he steps back. Within 15 to 20 minutes, the flesh is gone. What remains? The bones he crushes with a heavy mallet, mixes with barley flour and yak butter, and returns to the birds. When it's over, nothing remains. No grave, no urn, no marker, no trace. The person has dissolved completely back into the world. For Tibetan Buddhists, the body is just a vessel. The soul has already departed. There is nothing to hold on to. Feeding your body to the sacred birds, the dakinis, the sky dancers, is the final generous act a human can perform. You give your flesh so that other creatures may live. You leave nothing behind. To us, it looks like horror. To them, it is the most honest return imaginable. You came from nothing. You go back to nothing. You feed the sky. Chinese authorities tried to ban the practice. It survived. Tourists are strictly forbidden from attending. No cameras, no witnesses outside the family. This ceremony belongs only to the mountains, the birds, and the dead. Now, one question for you. Could you spend a single night in a tent on Everest, knowing that a few feet away, under the snow, lie people who never made it down? Or would you walk across the Hussaini Bridge, knowing the pile of snapped cables hanging next to it is what the last bridge looks like now? Tell us in the comments, which location hit you hardest? Subscribe, like, and ring the bell, because there are more places like these on this planet, and we're going to every single one of them. Take care of yourself. See you in the next one.